Today we're going to be listening to Next to Me by Popcaan featuring Toni-Ann Singh. As usual, I'll be providing you with a breakdown of the various elements of the track, as well as talking you through some of the things that I'm picking up on, both as a promoter and as a curator. This is something new from Popcaan. Track only dropped on the 30th of November, so yesterday. And yeah, excited to be getting into it. But before we do, if you like new music and you like it daily, don't forget to check out my main channel, Pure Urban Music. Link in the description below. Let's get it. Okay, right, so we start off with this which ends up sounding like a ticking clock, right? Then we get these soft, subtle keys that are just kind of playing these chords. They start from the back and they slowly work their way to the front. We get a taste of Popcaan's vocals here at the start, and then we go from that, which is pretty simple, into something that's quite full and quite complex. So we end up having this kind of sample drop. We end up having this melody which is being played by what sounds like some kind of synths there. And then on top of that, we get these kind of whooshing, right, of cymbals or hi-hats. I haven't quite made out what they are yet. So yeah, we go from something that's quite simple and straightforward to then all of a sudden there's a lot going on. I'll take it back and you can listen to those elements. Ticking clock. Right, Popcaan's vocals. And then there are those keys coming from the back, coming to the front. Sample drop. You hear that? Right? Right, that's the sample drop. And then you're going to hear do-do-do-do-do come in. And I'm not going to point out the swooshing of the hi-hats or the cymbals, because otherwise I will literally be stopping it every few seconds. But just listen out to those elements now. In the background, that melody, there it is, even more prominent.
You make me wanna run, heart be racing like a drum.
Okay, so what's really interesting here is that we've actually started with Toni-Ann's vocals, right? I was expecting it to be Popcaan's vocals, but it's not. But one thing to notice about these vocals, right, is the fact that they're not layered, right, throughout the entirety of the vocals. They only get layered and slightly offset towards the back end. Now they're quite easy to point out, so I'll give it the finger right when when they're about to hit.
You make me wanna run.
There.
Heart be racing like a drum. Feel it in my soul. Leave me wanting more. Drum.
So what's also happened is we've had the introduction of the bass line, and if you can hear it, right, because those vocals are quite present on the track, and so it makes it quite hard to hear, but you can hear that melody, those keys being played again on this part, right? Just I'll take it back a bit.
My soul.
So you can hear that bass line, right, as the kick drum hits. You can hear that warm, right, that bass.
Like a drum. Feel it in my soul.
There's the bass.
Leave me wanting more. You make me wanna run. Heart be racing like a
and there's that melody.
Drum. Don't know where we'll go. Don't know where we'll go. Yeah. You don't need to run away.
Okay, so a couple of things happening here. So firstly, you've got Popcaan and you've got Toni-Ann. Their vocals are actually now coming together. Popcaan is slightly more present on the track than what Toni-Ann is at the minute. But now also you've got the introduction of a guitar, and it's kind of playing the same sort of riff or rhythm as what the keys were when they were playing the melody. I mean, the guitar is not the prominent thing here. The vocals are, but if you can hear it and you can listen out for it, then do so.
Where we'll go, don't know where we'll go.
Here come joint vocals.
Yeah. You don't need to run away. You stay right next to me. Stay right next to me. But if you wanna go, you go.
Okay, so you know. This is what I mean about the complexity of this track. When you're just kind of hearing it, right, just in the car or you're just listening to it as it is, it doesn't really sound that complex at all. But they're constantly adding and layering things to this track all the time. And it's actually, as you know, doing what I do is actually very difficult because you're trying to pick all of these different elements out. But what you've got here now, right, is the introduction of a hi-hat. And that wasn't in this track just a few seconds ago, right? So I'll take it back and I'll point it out when the hi-hat comes in.
Stay right next to me. Stay right next to me. But if you wanna go, you go.
Hear that hi-hat?
But if you wanna go, you go. Just stay right next to me. We could go anywhere.
Okay, right, so now the track has been completely stripped back as we're going into Popcaan's verse, right? So I'll take it back and you can hear it, but you can hear it was very full, right? You've got vocals going on, you've got all sorts going on, and as we get into his verse, everything gets stripped back other than those initial keys and then his vocals, right? So just listen.
Just stay right next to me.
Strip back.
We could go anywhere, anywhere you choose. Take you on a cruise, girl, you are so beautiful.
Again, we have another layer of complexity which just comes into this track here. So what happens is, right, it gets stripped back. Popcaan starts kicking off his verse, and then we get a like noise that comes in. It's almost like that samples there again, right, that we had in the beginning, but it doesn't happen again later on when you would expect it to. Instead, what happens is we just get that melody being played by those keys again, right? Listen, I'll point it out and you'll be able to hear that.
We could go anywhere.
So you hear that, right? That sample that comes in. But if they were going to repeat it, it would happen again in a bit, but we don't get that repetitiveness. We just get that melody that comes in. Listen. Here it comes, melody. Hear that. Okay. So again, they change it so that instead of keeping the melody running, they don't. They almost take the melody out or those keys out, and then we get the sample, right, that just kind of that high pitched kind of singing that just follows up very subtly after Popcaan's vocals here, right? Listen.
So beautiful. Love to see you smiling.
Hear that. Right, follows up that word smiling, right?
You are so beautiful. Love to see you smiling. The love we have is never ending. Tell me how you're feeling. You make me wanna run. Heart be racing like a drum. Feel it in my soul. Leave me wanting more. You make me wanna run. Heart be racing like a drum.
Okay, so vocally, right, not much has changed here in terms of what we had in the beginning, right? It's all pretty much the same. The only difference is that the vocals are slightly bigger and a bit more wider on the track. They seem to be a little bit more reverbed, and they're coming in from the left and right. But also what you've got And this is just on occasion at the moment. Something that I'm hoping will change as we go on into the track is that we're starting to hear some ad-libs come in. Again, take it back and you can listen.
Feel it in my soul, leave me wanting more.
You hear that ad-lib there?
Run, 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 heart be racing like a drum, drum.
Another ad-lib there.
Drum, don't know where we'll go.
And again.
Don't know where we'll go. Yeah. You don't need to run away. You stay right next to me. Stay.
Okay, it's right what's happening here. I don't know whether you've picked up on it. So you've got, again, what we had in the beginning, right? You've got Popcaan and you've got Toni-Ann's vocals. They're both in there together. But now they're being followed up by ad-libs. And that's good because it's really adding to the presence of those vocals. It's that sort of stuff that is going to make you feel it, right? And not just hear it. And there's a big difference.
Right next to me. But if you wanna go, I will go. If you wanna go, I will go.
There again.
Just stay right next to me. Met a few lifetimes ago.
Okay, so again we get a similarity here, right? So Toni-Ann has come in with the vocals. Track is stripped right back. We've just got those keys, so the same thing as what happened with Popcaan. The only difference here is that Toni-Ann's flow is different. With Popcaan, there was a lot more space in the vocals, and that's not to say that these vocals sound bad or there isn't space there. There's still plenty of space. It's just that the flow is different. But that's a good thing because we need it. So it's a good thing that this is happening.
Met a few lifetimes ago. You were Anthony, I was Cleo. Made the world a place only we know. If it's not love, then tell me what's this feeling you give me.
Okay, so now we're bringing some harmonies to those vocals, which is really good. But on top of that, those harmonies are now being ad-libbed, right? Bringing those vocals to life just a lot more, right? Just listen.
If it's not love, then tell me what's this.
Right, I'll take it back one more time.
You were Anthony, I was Cleo. Made the world a place only we know. If it's not love, then tell me what's this feeling you give me.
And then the ad-lib over the top.
If it's not love, then I'm begging you, baby, to leave me. I should've never let it show. Can see it in your eyes, you know.
And you notice, right, the track has been stripped back again, right? You've got the, but only this time you've got the melody and you've got the bass, but it's been stripped back. At this point in the track, there's no kick drum there, right? Just listen.
It's not love, and I'm begging you, baby, to leave me. I should've never let it show. Can see it in your eyes, you know. Can see it in your eyes, you know. You make me wanna run, run, run. Heart be racing like a drum, drum, drum. Feel it in my soul. Leave me wanting more. You make me wanna run, run, run. Heart be racing like a drum, drum, drum.
So what you can hear now in this part of the track, so you got to re-listen to it, but you can hear, right, that there's another layer of vocals that are just, they're very reverb, they're very echoed, and it's just that extra layer just to kind of give those vocals, again, just that extra something, right, on the track. Now you're gonna have to listen really hard, but it's definitely there, right? Just listen.
My soul, leave me wanting more. Drum, drum, drum. Don't know where we'll go. Don't know where we'll go. Yeah. You don't need to run away. Stay right next to me.
Okay, so the kick drum has been taken out, and then we've got this kind of high pitched sample now that's been brought into this part of the track.
Where we'll go.
Right, here we go.
You don't need to run
Hear that?
away. Stay right next to me. Stay right next to me. But if you wanna go, I will go. If if you wanna go, I will go. But if you wanna go, I will go. Just stay right next to me. You don't need to run away.
Nice.
Stay right next.
So, you know, those vocals have kind of been taken from the forefront and now they're being put in the background. Highly echoed, highly reverbed, but you can still see or hear that Popcaan and Toni-Ann's vocals are still very much together.
Just stay right next to me.
Okay, quick summary. So here are the main things that really stood out to me about the track. So really like the fact that we kicked off with Toni-Ann's vocals. I said it in the video, I actually thought we were going to lead with Popcaan's, but we didn't. And actually that was a nice surprise. I really like what they did with the vocals, where instead of having them layered throughout the entirety of her lyrics or her verse, they just kind of tagged those layers and offset them towards the back end of what she was singing. And that for me was a really, really nice touch. Really like the fact that they brought the two artists' vocals together. Now at the start, I mean, it was pretty straightforward, with Popcaan being slightly more present on the track. At least that's what I heard anyway. But then as we begin to progress and we get to the middle and definitely towards the back end, Toni-Ann starts to come with those harmonies and she starts to come with those ad-libs, which really helps bring those vocals to life and make you feel them a lot more. So again, that was a nice calculated touch. And then finally you had the complexity of the track. Now from somebody who wants to break things down and tell you about them, it's a massive pain in my ass, right? Because there's too much going on. And I mean, I felt like I kind of stopped it enough already, but I'd be constantly stopping it if I was going to give you every single element, right, in a track like this. But from somebody who really loves music, I can appreciate the complexity of that production. The fact that they were constantly changing the track and adding different things in pretty much throughout definitely is something that stood out to me. Okay, that's it for me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.